Hello children, I welcome you all once again to your English class. I hope you all are doing great. Children, for today's English lesson, we are going to start with the ninth chapter from your Honeycomb book, and this chapter is A Bicycle in Good Repair. This is written by Jerome K. Jerome, and in this story you will find that there is a lot of humor. Okay, so there are two friends. Okay, there is the author and one of his friends, and how do they try to fix a bicycle. We will see how they operate on it and how it is supposed to function. Now let us read the story. You will find this chapter on page number 126. A man I knew proposed one evening we should go for a long bicycle ride together on the following day. The following day means what, children? The next day. So in indirect speech, you don't write tomorrow, but you write the following day. And I agreed. I got up early. For me, I made an effort and was pleased with myself. So it was an achievement for him to wake up early, so he was very happy. Both of them had decided that they are going for a long bicycle ride, and for this reason, the author woke up early that morning and he came half an hour late. So the friend came, means how much late was he? What was the timing? He arrived after half an hour. I was waiting for him in the garden. It was a lovely day, he said. That's a good looking machine of yours. How does it run? So he wanted to know, the friend wanted to know. He actually praised the bicycle. He said it's good looking machine. How does it work? Means how does it run? That means whether it's smooth or not. Oh, like most of them, I answered. So he said it works like all other bicycles. Easily enough in the morning and goes a little stiffly after lunch. So he means to say that it faces wears and tears after a long ride, and like it works well in the morning, but later on during the other half of the day, it's what? It's stiff, it's hard. Okay. Now, he caught hold of it by the front wheel and the fork and shook it violently. See children, here you see that the author had said this in a sarcastic manner, in a humorous way. But his friend took it in what? Took it in a very serious tone. Yes, he thought that the problem was real. But the author did not say it in that manner that it needed some repair. But you will see here what happens here, that he caught hold of the front wheel. That means he just picked up what? He picked up the bicycle from its front wheel. Now, and shook it violently. So after holding the fork of it, he did what? After holding the fork, he did what? He shook it violently, very aggressively. He started shaking it. Now I said, don't do that, you will hurt it. As if this cycle was a human being. He said, the narrator, the author said, don't move it so violently, don't shake it so violently, you will hurt it, it will get damaged. Okay. I said, don't do it, you will hurt it. I did not see why he should shake it. So the author could not understand what was the need of shaking the bicycle, because he just now said that it was a good looking bicycle, good looking machine. So what was the need of shaking the machine so violently? Now, it had not done anything to him. Besides, if it wanted shaking, I was the proper person, because he was the owner of the bicycle. He thought if the cycle needed any shaking or needed anything to be done, he was the right person to do it, because it was his bicycle. Yes, I was the proper person to shake it. I felt much as I should had he started whacking my dog. So it seemed to him what? This inanimate object was considered to be what? To be an animated object, like he felt as if this bicycle has what? This bicycle had life. Yes, but yes, it was inanimate object. It is not going to feel anything. But for the narrator, for the author, it meant a lot. The bicycle was like a human being to him. Yes, he felt what? He felt as if someone is whacking his dog. Yes, whacking means giving a good beating. Yes, to shake or to give a good beating, hard blows. Yes. Now he said, this front wheel wobbles. Okay, this front wheel wobbles. What did he say? That it shakes, it moves. Okay, it's unsteady. Okay, the front wheel is unsteady. I said, it doesn't if you don't wobble it. So he said he was very much upset that why is he shaking his bicycle in this way. Okay, so he said it won't wobble, it won't shake if you do not wobble it. Yes, it didn't wobble. As a matter of fact, nothing worth calling a wobble. So he felt, he saw it that there was no wrong, there was nothing wrong with the wheel. Okay, it was not wobbling, it was as it was supposed to be. Now he said, this is dangerous. Have you got a hammer? So he said what? That this is very dangerous. Do you have any hammer with you? I ought to have been firm, but I thought that perhaps he really did know something about the business. So if he was so sure with it, so the author also gave a thought that if he is so sure that this bicycle or there is this problem with the bicycle, so he must trust him, and he thought of taking a chance. Okay. Now I went to the tool shed to see what I could find. So he went to the tool shed. There are tools kept for repairing your machines, to repair any like vehicle or anything. When I came back, he was sitting on the ground with the front wheel between his legs. So he sat on the ground, and what was he doing? He had the wheels between his legs. He was playing with it, twiddling it round between his fingers. So twiddling means turning it around between his fingers. He was like moving it around. And the remnant of the machine was lying on the gravel path beside him. So you can see it in the picture what was happening. Okay, so he did what? He had done what? He had unscrewed, means he had separated the wheel from the fork, okay, from the bicycle. So he had separated it, and he was playing with it. He was turning it round, and all the remnant means the nuts and bolts, the screws, okay, were lying where? On the gravel path. Gravel means, for children, small stones, okay, from which our roads are paved. Yes, our roads are made. So were lying on the gravel path beside him. He said, it looks to me as if the bearings were all wrong. So what does he feel? He feels that all the bearings means the hole, that means the nut and bolt placement was wrong according to this man, this friend. I said, don't you trouble about it anymore. So he said, you do not need to bother, you do not need to be you do not need to be in trouble. You will make yourself tired, okay? You do not need to fix this. I will get it done. You do not need to get tired. Let us put it back and get off. Okay, what did he say? That we are going to put it off, and we have to do what? We have to start our journey, our long ride. So he wanted all the nuts and screws to be in its place. He wanted him to tighten all the nuts and bolts, and then they can start their long ride. Okay. Now he said, we may as well see what is the matter with it. He said, we do not need to go to this long ride. Instead, we should sit here and see what is the problem with the wheel. What is the problem with this bicycle? Why it is not giving you a smooth ride? We need to check all the parts. We need to inspect more. We need to check all the parts. He talked as though it had dropped out by accident. So he was talking as if the wheel has got separated, means it's out from its fork on its own or by any accident. Okay. Before I could stop him, he had unscrewed something somewhere. Okay, so everything was unscrewed, all the nuts and bolts were out of their places, and out rolled all over the path some dozen or so little bolts. So all this, like bolts are, that round shape things. So all the nuts and bolts were rolling on the ground. Yes, all about a dozen and so. So he did not count at that time. So he said it was about a dozen. Dozen means 12 in number. Now, catch them, he shouted, catch them. We mustn't lose any of them. So what did he say? That we must catch them. We should not lose any of them. He was quite excited about them now, as if it was his passion. Okay, he was very excited about the screws and bolts rolling on the ground. So he was very much anxious, excited here. We groveled round for half an hour. That means they kept looking for, they searched. Groveled means what? They searched for all the nuts and bolts and found 16. How many they find? How many did they find? They found 16 of them. He said he hoped we had got them all, because if not, it would make a serious difference to the machine. Because when, children, when the nuts and bolts are not in their place, the machine will trouble you. Yes, the machine here means bicycle was going to trouble them, because it may cause some serious accident. Now, I put them for safety in my hat. So there was this hat of the narrator. So he put it all inside that hat. It was not a sensible thing to do, I admit. Admit means accept. Okay. So he accepted that it was not a very wise thing to do. What was not the wise thing to do? To keep all these nuts and bolts in the hat. Okay. Now children, let's move ahead on page number 129 now. He then said that while he was about it, he would see to the chain for me. Okay. So he was still not, he had still not fixed what? The nuts and bolts. He was still on doubts regarding that. But he thought what? He thought that now he must check the chain, and at once began taking off the gear case. You might have seen the gearing, the wiring that has been done with the handle and with all the chains. Okay, it's connected, right? The gear is connected. So he tried to remove the gear case. I did try to dissuade him from doing that. Dissuade means what, children? Check him, or refuse means tried to stop him. Actually wanted him to leave that idea of dismantling the gear case, removing the gear case. I told him what an experienced friend of mine once said to me solemnly. So a friend of the narrator told him what regarding this gear case. Let's see. If anything goes wrong with your gear case, sell the machine and buy a new one. That means sell the cycle and buy a new one. Why? Because it comes cheaper. Okay, children, usually bicycle is in foreign countries, bicycle can also means that this motorcycle. Okay, but here we can see it's just the bicycle only we are talking about. So the friend had suggested him that if you do anything wrong, if anything goes wrong with the gear case, always remember that it's not going to be fixed. Instead of buying the gear case again or getting it fixed, you need to do what? You need to buy a new machine, because it would be cheaper. It will cost you less. He said, people talk like that who understand nothing about machines. So as if this friend of the narrator was all-knowing, he knew everything about repairing a cycle, he knew everything about machines. So he said that these things are told by them who know nothing about what? Who knows nothing about the machine. So nothing is easier than taking off a gear case. So he said separating a gear case from a bicycle is the most easy, is the easiest task to perform. I had to confess he was right. In less than 5 minutes, he had the gear case in two pieces, lying on the path, and was growling for screws. Now again he started what? He removed the gear case, he separated the gear case, and now he was groveling, he was searching, he was looking for the screws. He said it was always a mystery to him the way screws disappeared. So yes, while fixing it, when you look for the screws, it was a mystery for this friend how some screws always get misplaced or they disappear. Common sense continued to whisper to me. Yes, common sense, it started what? It started telling the narrator that you must stop this person. Stop him before he does any more mischief. So he wanted to stop the friend, he wanted to stop the man from doing any more thing with the machine. Now, you have a right to protect your own property. All this thing was coming in his mind that he must stop this man, he must stop this man from dismantling his machine. So now, from the ravages of a lunatic. Ravages means what? Ravages means any damage. Okay? And lunatic means a mad fellow, someone who is mad. So lunatic means mad. Take him by the scruff of the neck. Children, scruff is the back portion, is just behind your neck, when you just hold someone from the back of the neck, and he wanted to hold that man from the scruff of his neck, and he wanted to kick him out of the gate. Yes? But I am weak when it comes to hurting other people's feelings, and I let him muddle on. What did he think himself to be? He thought himself to be weak because he cannot hurt others. He cannot hurt the sentiments, the feelings of others. So he let him carry on with the muddling, with all the tod that he was doing, with all the damage that all the unscrewing that he was doing. He let him do it. Okay. He gave up looking for the rest of the screws. Now, while he was going to screw them all, he gave up the idea of looking for the screws. He is no longer going to search for the screws. Now he said screws had a knack of turning up when you least expect them to. So he said what? That they have this habit. Knack means what, children? Knack means habit. So he thought that screws have the habit of disappearing and they reappear again when you are not looking for it. So he gave up the idea of looking for the screws in. Okay. Now he tightened it. He now went to the chain again. He tightened it till it could not move. Next, he loosened it until it was twice as loose as it was before. Then he said, we had better think about getting the front wheel back into its place again. So now when he was handling the chain, first he tightened it as if, so tight it was that the wheels could not move, the cycle could not move. Again he did what? He loosened it 2 times more than the earlier grip it held. Then he said, okay, now we have to bring the wheel to its place. Okay, again he gave up the idea of the chain. Now he's again going back to tightening of the screws. He wanted to bring the wheel to its place. Okay, children. Now, I held the fork open and he worried with the wheel. At the end of 10 minutes, I suggested he should hold the fork and that I would handle the wheel, and we changed places. So after 10 minutes of time of trying and struggling with the wheel and the screw, he thought what? The narrator got this idea. He suggested that they should change places. Now he must handle the wheel and the fork will be held by whom? Will be held by his friend. Okay. So they decided to change their place. Okay. Now, children, you see how humorously it's done and how they are actually repairing a good machine. It was already in good condition and it did not need any repair. But the friend thinks that this machine needs a repair. Yes. So we are going to finish this video lesson here only, and I will carry on with the rest of the explanation of the text, the remaining part, in your next video lesson. Till then children, please take care of yourself and your family. We will meet again with another video lesson. Bye bye for today.